Hi guys, appreciate everyone who's been tuning into these more technical videos. I really appreciate all the response we've gotten online and on the website. So we're CurePack. We make packaging, flexible packaging, and these videos are designed to be a basic introductory set of videos to help designers and anyone who's interested in making better packaging. I think Nimal had sent in that they were interested in finding more about the gusseted style of pouches and the hints and tips I've got about that. So in this video we're going to cover gusseted pouches. There are a lot of different styles of gusseted pouches. We're going to cover the top three. Those are going to be a round bottom, K-style, and plow bottom. There are also a lot of different names that are thrown around. Round bottom can be called a doi pack or a doi style gusset. K-style generally is called K-style. Plow bottom can be called a fold over bottom, pinch bottom. I've seen a lot of different words out there for them. So let me cover those first. Then we're going to talk a little about art setup and some best practices, and hopefully get you going on designing better gusseted stand-up pouches. So here is a round bottom pouch, and this is going to be true to life. So just like with all Dielines, you've heard me say this before in my other videos, Dieline is showing you the actual pouch. The edge of the physical bag that you're designing is the edge of the design. Nothing exists beyond that point. Dotted lines should be seal zone indicators. Now dotted lines can be a lot of things, but on most bags, on a gusseted bag, you're going to have at least seals on the sides. 7.5, 5mm, and 9mm are the most common widths that you're going to run into. Having random widths outside of that is possible, but you're generally going to want to use those widths. So here is, hopefully this shows up on video, probably not very well, but if you look at this in the right light, you'll see this is the actual curve right along there. So that's pretty much a standard doi style gusset, round bottom gusset. There's a number of reasons people pick this gusset. It includes that it has a lot of strength to it. So the pouch I'm showing you here is actually a pretty big bag, has a lot of strength. It also will stand up really well on a shelf. So all this extra sealing material at the bottom helps it really stand up and maintain its integrity. Talking about side seals on this bag, that's one of the reasons side seal thicknesses vary. The thicker the seal, the stronger the pouch. As far as a couple of things I could talk about with the other styles of gusset, this is a plow bottom gusset. And plow bottom is actually going to be the main print file we work on today. Plow bottom is a gusset that folds over on the bottom but is a continuous fold of material. There are no seals here. This is one web of material. This is fold over, sealed and pinched on these corners and the sides, and that's it. This is common with loose fill materials because they can fill out the bottom. Also for higher speed production channels because it doesn't take a lot of effort to open this gusset. So it's going to be like cheeses, nuts, anything like that. Disadvantage, it won't stand up quite as well. As this gets loosened up, it's going to start to want to collapse. But most of the time, people don't really have a problem with that because of the application-specific nature of it. All right, the final style of gusset that we'll review right now is going to be the K-style gusset. K-style gussets are very similar to the plow style gusset, except for it has an actual seal on the bottom. So in this example, I'll make my bubble a little bigger here. You still have an actual seal of material at the bottom, but there are very angular cuts on the sides. So this is exactly how it appears there. Very angular, very triangular cuts with a seal at the bottom. This again can stand up better because of the seal, but that's basically what you're going to be looking at, is the three types of gussets. Most of that will be determined by application-specific parameters based on what they're planning to do with it. Let's look at a gusseted Dieline here. Alright, so I've pulled up the Dieline for this project. So again, this is a plow bottom style gusset, and it's a well set up pouch. A couple of things I'd point out. Most of the time, the amount of distance between the zipper and the top will be determined by the style of sealing that they're doing or machine requirements. So that might be a question, how much lip they need. Most people won't know. It's usually something to determine later. But if you could start to plan for how much lip they need, in this situation they're using probably a band sealer to actually seal the entire top almost inch or about 25 millimeters of the bag, including through the hang hole. That gives them a very strong seal. The end user tears the bag here, and then the zipper is for them to reseal the pouch. Other styles you'll have, including some of them I've shown you on these stock mock-ups. 3015 with the hang hole, that's going to be more indicative of slower speed band sealer or someone using an impulse sealer. An impulse sealer, they're going to just actually seal right along there. Band sealer usually requires about 10 millimeters of space to seal. So as you can see, they brought these designs out to the edge. It's full bleed. And another common issue that people run into is they don't vectorize everything. So if I'm just going to review things kind of off the top of my head, barcodes. This one's been vectorized. If you just see a big block here with a placed PNG as a linked image, that's not going to be as good. A lot of times designers will just not be able to find an SVG or EPS version of a logo or graphic, especially these little icons, so they just place the PNG. That's possible, but it's not as good, especially when I see nutritional information that's a placed PNG. I'm like, let's get that SVG in there, let's get an actual vector for that graphic. Because without the graphic vector, you're going to have a lower overall print quality. And part of that reason, if I give you a little hint on why that matters, is because most people don't understand printing and how this occurs. You're pretty much, if you place a raster graphic there, you're going to go from raster into the computer. So you're at, and then it goes to the print rip station onto a plate, and it becomes a raster again. So if you've seen a TikTok video that gets lower and lower and lower in quality as it gets shared, it's because you're rastering a raster, a raster, a raster. Not a good idea. So as much as possible, especially for any vectorized elements that are not photographs, we want to go ahead and try and keep it as a vector image. Now in this case, there is one element that they're not able to, they weren't able to get a vector for, and that's this cloth pattern. So if I remove the Pantone 2013, you'll see this is actually a placed graphic. It's preferentially not the greatest, but given that it's just a background texture, it was doable. It won't show up on my video. The background texture is behind the color up there. And it does create a little bit of issue, but it was turned into, let me pull up my colors here. It was used, actually, we're using basically shades of black. So it was turned into a grayscale of a raster image, and that worked out much better. These are actual vector drawings, or have been vectorized or traced. And that works out really well. These are all going to be percentages that are used to create that. And you don't necessarily need to work on all that level of detail when you're designing, because a lot of it will need to be press specific, but it's really good to keep that in mind, that you can get by with less overall colors. Now the reason Pantone colors are used at all and not CMYK is because we're going to get a better crispness to the graphics. We also get better quality color control because we can actually match it. You've said it before, if you are going to use PMS colors, make sure for most plastics, with some exceptions, to use the Formula Guide solid colors. These are going to be the C colors. So if you notice down here, you're going to notice that the colors are all Pantone. That one isn't labeled as Z, but they're all C-based colors. The coded colors are what's going to really translate to plastics the best, especially to gloss plastics. Pantone used to make a matte book for if you're going to apply matting to a bag, but they stopped producing that, and that's no longer available. So you're going to, even on a matte bag, you're still going to use the C colors, but accepting there's going to be some darkening of it. The uncoated group could be used with certain paper exterior products, but I'll leave that for another video. So in essence, I think I've covered most of the basic styles of gussets, artwork layout. I'm going to show you a few pictures here of how you might see these sent to you. These are layups that are being less user-friendly and more print-ready. not print ready, but like press ready. They're trying to just show you how it's going to lay out on the film, so on a roll of material. And I have my little prop here. I can pause and get. They're showing you it this way because it's going to be printed on a roll. And so this is showing it laid out on a roll exactly like it would be. But I find that a lot less effective for your client and for anyone proofing this to see it. Leave that for the rip station operator or the press operator to figure out. A couple of things I notice on here. Can we even determine what kind of gusset it is? Oops, I clicked off. So it's not really clear, and I think green on green Dielines is a poor idea, but whatever. I'm going to say this is a plow bottom. They're showing a seam in the middle, and I'm not seeing any kind of sealing here. So this ultimately would be a plow bottom gusset style bag. They're also showing a little bit of optional trim. So on this design, you're going to see how they're showing a little bit of bleed beyond the edge. That would be optionally available, not really necessary to depict that, because that again is machine and press specific, and so you don't really need to show that as a designer. You're trying to get across where things are supposed to go and communicate what's going on. Final thing I'd say is, again, always call out your finishes as just a separate layer. You need to communicate both to the client and to the producer where you want things. This bag has an all gloss finish. One thing you'll notice, this bag has 2 whites, and that's because we're trying to increase the opaquency. When you print on clear film, it's not going to be 100% opaque. So that would be my last couple of things. Anyways, I hope it was a nice rundown for you of the 3 major styles of gusseted bags. You're going to have the round bottom, the plow bottom, and if I still have it here, the K-style gusset. And appreciate you watching. Hope you have a good one.